Friday. Let's do this. I think I left my makeup bag downstairs. Oh, shoot, yeah. Oh, here we go. At least I do have my foundation because I don't carry this hunk of chunk with that around with me. Dermatology. We're going to chat about dating today. I think I might be doing a course on dating or whatever, creating healthy relationships after narcissistic abuse. This is Universal Tinted Moisturizer. 46 SPF. It has no focus on this phone. You can't go too close. There we go. So, wait for peeps to hop on. Yeah, so this stuff is supposed to basically transform to your skin color, whatever skin color you are, which is kind of crazy, huh? And helpful for people who are fair like me when you put it on and it's too dark. Right now, as I'm getting, I start getting a little sun from being outside a little bit. A little freckled, a little frecklage. But in the winter, some brands, even their lightest color will be a little too light. Anyway, so let's chat narc abuse, dating. So I was talking to a friend yesterday and she was saying there's a lot of, with online dating now, it's hard to screen. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a course on that. So I was thinking of coming on here, seeing if there's any need for that. So thumbs up, first of all, if you would like a course on the red flags, what to look for, how to have healthy relationships after you've been through narcissistic abuse, trying to trust again, not just others, but trust yourself, trusting yourself to make decisions. I know that's something, I did date a narcissist for a while, and after that, I was burnt, didn't even really want to date anyone seriously at all for a while, which I think is smart. Oh, where's my brush? Because you have to heal from that. You have to heal first. So part of the journey is recognizing, because you're so used to being codependent when you're in a narcissistic relationship, they can create this dynamic that makes you very dependent on them, maybe obsessed with their actions. Why are they doing this? Or they create this dynamic of you really wanting, even when you're not a typical jealous or possessive type, they can create that dynamic by messing with your mind, right? So the first thing is, when you're out of a narcissistic relationship, is really making sure that you're ready. So I think I'm probably gonna create a little quiz too, are you ready to? And if you are, then let's do this course together. Because once you're ready to, there's always healing to do after narcissistic abuse. Is it ever fully healed? I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot when you go through trauma of any sort, it's hard to ever be oh, I'm 100% healed, but you can definitely make major headway. I have. I went through narcissistic abuse in my life, but from childhood, and then again, dating, right? Dating someone who is a narcissist. And that person made me feel like I have never felt in two ways. One was a great way, the highs are very high, and then the other way was the lows were very low. And I tolerated stuff I would have never tolerated from anyone except for, surprise, the childhood narcissist in my life, right? So there's patterns, even though I'm a fierce, strong personality, and often that's not the case. Often it's more, I don't want to say submissive in a bad way, but often the victims of narcissists are more accommodating and easygoing and softer personalities. Not always, but it can be very frequent. And empathy, we talked about that yesterday. Empaths are often sought after. But my case is kind of weird because I am a strong personality. I have a lot of opinions. I stand up for the underdogs, and I've been like that my whole life. But there were certain people, when you have someone in your childhood, you're born into that dynamic, that creates, people are well, why? We talked about this 2 days ago on this. Well, why? Why me? And because odds are, if you end up in an abusive relationship, that there's something avoiding, or there is a void from when you were younger. whether you abused or not, if you were dismissed, if you just weren't, you were like seen and not heard, then you could enter into, as you get older, feeling comfortable in relationships that are not healthy for you, right? So there's the whole why, and then are you ready to date? And then once you are in the dating pool, and it is harder, man, since I was younger, I started when I was in my young 20s, that is when I was dating, right? Like the dating apps had just kind of really started. Like it was still like you didn't tell anyone if you were on the dating apps. It was kind of embarrassing and secret. I did. I wrote a freaking book about it. Should release that. I had a lot of experiences. And if you want story time, give me a thumbs up. If you want me to start doing dating stories on YouTube, which I've been saying I'm going to do for years and I don't. I've told a couple of them like casually in these talks. But if you want actual dating series, I think that'd be interesting. There's been some fun. So I can relate in the fact of I dated a lot and I screened a lot after my narcissistic relationship. So right after him, I dated casually, but as I started getting more serious, you know, it was like, sorry, I'm getting texts and phone calls all at the same time. I had to screen, and I had hey Marie, talking about dating, because I think this will be really helpful for people out there. I can't decide if I want to do a just dating course or one just creating healthy relationships in general. Tell me your thoughts on that, anybody. I'm really struggling with this. These are the things that keep me up at night. Just so you know, like literally the last 3 days I've been obsessing about, do I make it generic? Because then I have my coach, one of my like business coaches, that is like, you always make it more and more specific because you really need to like speak to that one person, you know. But it's hard because I feel like in our situation, narcissistic abuse, we need help. We need help with just knowing how to have good people in our lives. We're not used to that. We don't feel comfortable. We don't, like I said the other day, I didn't even know like someone like my husband existed. I mean, I still don't know if I believe it. It's like when you go through being mistreated and feeling crazy and gaslit and all that stuff, then it's like, well, how, like, you're so comfortable with that, even though I'm not saying it feels good, I'm saying you're comfortable, you're familiar with that. So how do we screen when we know nothing other than that, right? And so that's what I want to do the course about, kind of the red flags of narcissists. Just that something isn't right for you, something doesn't feel right. We don't trust ourselves when we come out of narcissistic situations. I would say 100% of people I've talked to, my clients that come out of narcissistic marriages or their mothers and their sisters and whatever were abusive or horrible to them, and it's like when you take something and you stay in a relationship, you kind of have shame around that you took it. When you're kind of on the other side and you disconnect from it, it's like, what was I thinking tolerating that? Oh my gosh. Like, especially in a romantic situation. I feel like family, it's like, well, you were born into it. And like in my case, la familia prima, right? Like family first. You don't understand the wrath I have gotten from my family for disconnecting from someone in my family. It was part of the worst. I can't speak. How do you say that? I don't know. It was a big, huge part of the worst part of what, I mean, dealing with a narcissist, cutting them off is hard enough, and you get wrath there. I did not know the wrath I would get from other family members, because we are an Italian family. Blood is thicker than water. It is like, no matter what. I was saying to someone today, like, or was that yesterday? Anyway, I was saying, it's like you could stab someone in the face, and like a sibling, a parent, and the next day it's like, all right, pass the cheese, you know? In my family, you don't do that. you don't do that. Like, my grandfather, I'm sure, is turning over in his grave. I will say I have 2 family members, though we talk and whatever. I have ruined the family. Okay? Just to give you an idea. So I don't remember what that side tangent was about, but there is the wrath of going through childhood stuff, not knowing any better, and then you come out, then you may date someone, it's romantic, and so what are the signs? How can you trust yourself again with family? Like I said, it's different. You're born into it. You can give yourself a little grace, like, well, I was born into this, and like that's all I knew. But a lot of times where the shame comes, and for me, that's where my shame came. Not so much the family. When I realized that, I was like, well, I knew nothing else, and my family, even now, is saying it's okay. Of course, I thought it was okay. I was told it was okay that I was being strangled, that I was being knocked up against the wall. I was told that's like you accept it anyway, their family, right? That's different than when you're choosing a romantic relationship or friendships even that are abusive, right? It's different, and there was shame for me around that, around the romantic. Like, man, looking back, like even 6 months after we had broken up, I was like, what is wrong with me that I put up with that? And there was no physical abuse, but there was definitely emotional. I was told that's part of marriage, right, Marie? And that's the thing. It's also who you hang out with. First of all, the narcissists themselves can say, well, this is, fighting's normal. Fighting's normal, right? Not this kind, homie. And also, if you are raised in an abusive family or environment, yes, there will be parents that will tell you when you say, oh, he said this to me, or he pushed me. It's, I know, honey, but, your dad and I, that used to happen with us, and that didn't happen in my family because my parents were divorced. And but did my mom think I should have broken up with my boyfriend because he called me a cunt? No, your parents always fought. Right, so you're growing up watching this. Oh, that's just life, right? Oh. Like, for me, I didn't know because I didn't have parent role models to watch. But my mom, and I won't get into her personal stuff, but let's just say she was more easygoing about things. So, what she may tolerate is different than what someone else may, such as myself now. But yes, if you're in this environment and you're seeing things in your own home or your own friendships or your community, like there's just like attracts like sometimes. So even maybe your parents, let's say, and generationally, let's be honest, like I'm 43. My parents' generation tolerated abuse more than our generation. Their generation tolerated more abuse than our parents, and then even less for mine. So it's also a generational thing, right? Where the tolerance was different. So the Italian thing in my family plus the generational thing, like I am a black sheep that I cut out a person in my family. Black sheep. So back to the shame. I had a lot of shame around, I cannot believe like I chose this person and I didn't trust myself. It was hidden, Marie? Yeah. I didn't trust myself that I would know, because I felt like, oh my God, I let myself get into an abusive romantic situation. How do I know I won't do that again? I don't know. The signs, he was great. Like now I know, and that's why I want to help people, because when I was dating, I was like, I don't know. He was sweet. And especially in the beginning, I mean, he wined and dined me and he got me gifts and very thoughtful things. He wrote me a poem. He, just simple little thoughtful things. Like he'd bring me Gatorade. I remember I had like an ant infestation in the house I was living in when I first moved in. They like had an ant situation they didn't tell us about. And I told him, I was like, oh man, da, da, da. And like he showed up for our date that night with a big pack of ant traps, and a purple Gatorade, because I loved purple Gatorade at the time. Why? I don't know. That's disgusting. But like in my mind, I'm like, I don't know what signs. How could I see signs? He was so good. Like, he was so sweet. But then when you're on the other side and you start to heal and you start to grow and you start to know your worth and know what it feels like to be treated well, even if it's treating yourself well or having friends, or the more I was exposed to the world, the more I realized, like, damn, there's more out there. There's better people out there, not just romantically, friendship wise, work people wise. I saw families that didn't treat each other like my family did. And I'm not saying we didn't have any good times. I'm not saying, oh, my life was so horrible. There was an aspect of my life that was not good, and I refuse to deny that part. And other people in my family are upset I speak publicly about it. And I actually can't care about that, because I cannot help other people by not at least, and you guys know I'm private. You don't know, who exactly it was and all of that. I try to keep it as private as possible, because that's not the important part. The important part is knowing that I can relate, and it was in my family, and it wasn't okay. And I'm allowed to say that. And it took me a long time to be able to talk about that, to be able to say that and not be terrified, because I was already getting the wrath of the family, just that I had disconnected, period. So to then be talking about it publicly, like, black sheep, black sheep. But to me, it is honestly that important to me, because I feel like I was failed. And I'm not saying the other members of my family failed me completely or whatever. There's a lot of great things and great traits they have, and a lot of at protecting me, and they're still failing at protecting me. And that's one thing I refuse to let go of, and I will not hide anymore. And that's a hard place to get. And I'm here, and I'm happy I'm here and to empower others to get here, but it's also really hard and has, how can I put it, has really changed the relationships with my family members to a detriment. So this is kind of side tangent, but it's showing, when you go through this, expect, because if you're just on the other side of this, you're expect, and that might not be the case for you. Your other family members might be totally fine and supportive. Often they're all entangled. If it's your immediate family, it's usually they're all entangled. There's a dynamic set up. If a narcissist is in an immediate family, they've usually got their webs on most people in it. And there's going to be some wrath or some disappointment or anger or sadness, whatever. Family members took sides. Yeah, Marie. And usually, the thing is, family members will often take the side of the narcissist because they're terrified of the narcissist, right? Who isn't? They're maniacal. They punish you. So if you're going to side with someone who's disconnected, they're going to punish you. And the people in my family already they were getting punished, right? It was happening. So then the triangulation works is they get upset, then it goes over here, and then it somehow comes back to me that I then have to be the bad guy because someone's got to be to blame. The ones I thought would back me up sided with the other person. Oh, I am telling you, I was totally sideswiped. That's not the word. I'm not using good words today. Blindsided. I was blindsided and hurt. Not expecting, because it's a family, not expecting someone to totally side with me only, but to understand and be like, yeah, I understand why you need to do this. There was none of that, and that's because they're terrified of what will happen. And what did happen is the narcissist did, specifically the more empathetic family member in my family, the narcissist clawed into them because they knew what they could do, right? They knew that was the easier target to blame and to try to make them get me back. And they blamed them and said, you have failed us as a family. So the narcissist said to the empath in my family, you have failed me. You failed this family. You're supposed to be the trunk and the da-da-da, right? That manipulation then worked on that empath, who then came at me mad. I refuse to deal with those friends and family. Yeah, good, Marie. They gaslight me. Yeah, we're not here for that, right? But it takes time to get there. You're at a great space that you can do that. I'm really proud of you because it's hard. I've been through it. I'm a tough chick. I've been through a lot. I'm tough. I'm fierce. Like you guys know, I'm fierce mama, right? It was one of the hardest things in the world. Soul crushing, lots of tears. I'm talking like on the ground, on my knees, crying tears, going through that experience when my whole family was manipulated by the narcissist, and they were turning against me and blaming me. Basically saying, just accept the abuse. This is just who they are. It's just, just ignore it. Just ignore it. That's just who they are. No, I can't ignore it. They're a maniac. There's no conversation without it turning into a war. You go against the grain of family dynamics, and that's why people struggle with it. Because as a society, not just the Italian, right? All around, it's not a good look. It's getting more and more acceptable, the younger generations, but I'm still 43. Thank God the next generations are tolerating less when it comes to abuse, and I'm so glad to see that. But a lot of them still are, But I think I see more younger kids, even on like TikTok videos and stuff. It's like create large Hispanic family. Yeah. Oh yeah. Then, Hispanics just like Italian as far as that goes. Very close knit, all about the family, live together, right? Like pods of people living together till you're married off. And even then you may still be in the same, it's a close cult. They're both close cultures. Not every culture is like that, but most cultures look down on cutting out family members. And that's been a huge part. So it's just important to note that. I know we're getting a little sidetracked off of dating, but what else is new? We always sidetrack. But there's going to be shame. There's going to be guilt coming from other people. And then the shame, to go back, the shame around dating, that's where I had my shame more. Like, I didn't have so much shame as guilt with my own family situation. I had more guilt because I don't like to hurt anyone, and my heartstrings were pulled and I was manipulated through the process. And then I got guilted by the other family members. Very devastating stuff. But I'm strong. I'm a bull. I'm a Taurus. I'm an Italian. So I made it through that part. And then going into dating, it was like, okay, well, I started doing a lot of like meditation, even when I was younger, and yoga and all of that. And that taught me to listen to my body. And that, I think, is a huge part of dating, is stopping and saying, like, how do I feel with this person, right? How are they making me feel? Let's say they make you feel real great on Tuesday, and then Wednesday they're questioning you, or like I said in my dating story the other day, that possessive guy who was like, you're going to hang out with my cousin all night? Like little things like that. The little red flags that people overlook they mean a lot. They count for a lot. It's becoming very aware of people, not what they say, but how they act, right? And then how they make you feel. Like, those are important things. The whole red flag thing and the signs of narcissism, like all that I will be putting in the course. But I'm just touching now on the actual part we don't talk much about is being so in touch with your body by meditation, by yoga, whatever, that you can feel like something is not right, and you pay attention to it. And you say, this doesn't feel like, if I knew I could be treated really well in a relationship, is this what it would look like and feel like? You know? But right, like, but he did open my door and he brought me flowers. But then he asked to see my phone, to see who I was talking to. But maybe that's just because he really cares, right? So it's that. And we will get into all of that stuff in the course, because I think that's the stuff that might be confusing to people. I'm trying to bring myself back to when I was in my 20s and I was going through it. The things that I would excuse and like try to balance out. I would balance out the abuse with the good stuff, right? So it was like, well, he called me this, but then the next day he brought me flowers and I saw tears come out of his eyes. That must mean something. God, he loves me. Whoop. Okay, I'm going to stay, right? So yes, in the comments on replay, I know a lot of people don't watch in the morning. If you're interested on a course in A, healthy relationships in general after narcissistic abuse, or B, specific to dating. Like, what are the red flags? How can I trust again? How can I feel comfortable? How can I undo damage related to, so I'm not bringing in my own baggage? That's something too. I mean, I brought baggage in for a while, you know. I didn't know anything about narcissism back then, or abuse in general. I mean, I had just realized I had gone through abuse. I didn't even look at it that way while I was in it. I remember the day I went to my therapist after that relationship ended. I was a mess. I mean, when you come out of a narcissistic romantic relationship, God, it's the worst. And I was at my therapist, and I remember she started drawing these 4 sections, and she's like, this is the abuse cycle. I want you to look at it. And I just, yes, on the silent treatment. Yes, I'll do a podcast on that. She had these 4 sections, and I was like reading them, and it was like how the narcissists do. And this, in dating, unfortunately, you have to go on a date or two to see, maybe even longer, to screen narcissists, because they're good at what they do, but it can't last forever. There will be signs, but it's like that whole, in the very beginning, I forget now offhand what it's called, the first phase where they're like whining and dining you, and then they start to show signs, right? And then the abuse, the actual abuse, and what happens, and then they make up for it, and then it starts all over, right? It's like this cycle of abuse. But I remember looking at it and I just started crying, because, you know, it had hit me like, damn, it was actually like, this is abuse, you know. It was she's like, look familiar? Because I had gone to her and was like telling her all this stuff, and she's like, okay, like right away she knew it was the cycle of abuse. And I mean, that, it broke my heart, you know. You can tell when you do something wrong and then their real colors show, right? And wrong, I like how you put in quotes, because it's usually not wrong, it's just something human. Or a good test is being very honest. Like if you're early on in dating and you're wondering about something but feel like uncomfortable about asking, ask. Because their response will show you who they are. Like, I could ask my husband anything. He's not going to get defensive, like, at all, you know? You ask a narcissist something that's, like, probing, and not, like, attacking. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, what can be normal questions to some people will make a narcissist get defensive. I mean, there's a lot of red flags, but I don't want to give it all away. We're going to save it for the course. I do have 5 signs of toxic people. I think it's episode 2 of my podcast, like toxic traits, toxic people, and how to get rid of them. Because We don't need no toxic people. Should I redo that song? I went out on a date when something happened. He went into a temper tantrum and I stepped back. Yeah. And watch how, another red flag, watch how these people treat the wait staff. Watch how they treat other customers when you're out. I remember going out with this guy. He was very good looking, very successful, blah, blah, blah. I knew he wasn't for me on the first date, though. He was just talking about how wonderful he was, basically. Maybe a narcissist. But, you know, going on, he was a lawyer and talking about, oh, his Lamborghini and this car. And I was like, I don't care about all your fucking cars, dude. Yes, how they treat or make fun of. Yes, good point. And he was like, the waitress came up and he said something. He goes, not right now. Blah, blah, blah. Like, he was on stage telling his awesome story about himself, and he shooed the waitress. No. Nope. I'm totally not doing my makeup. He shooed the waitress, and I was like, well, he was already out, but now he's definitely out. I mean, who shoots a waitress, right? And then he also, another thing, I'll be honest, this might be old school. You better walk me to my fucking car. I know everyone like Ubers and stuff now, so I don't know how it is out there, you know. But I literally dumped a guy because he did not walk me into my car. He was like, oh, I'm that way. It was like late at night. I was parked in a garage. Often, like back then, before everyone was Ubering, I found guys would always walk me. They'd ask, like, oh, can I walk you to your car? You know, I think it's nice to ask, of course. You don't assume, but if I knew them a little better, they would even, like, drive me to my car or something. Does this concealer stay on all day? No. Not exactly. Like, no. I can't say I've found a perfect concealer. But it stays, I'd say it stays pretty well. If you have oily skin, I don't know. I have dry skin. It stays most of the day. But, like, it's definitely one, if I was, like, had it on during the day and I was going to be going out, like, there's no way it would still be there. I would have to reapply it. This is my Steal Kitten, by the way. My baby. My baby! And my Better Than. Oh, I heard Dior show, lashes is really good. Now I really want to get that. Maybe I'll go out and get that today. I have to go out and send packages out anyway. So yeah. All the fun. Love talking about the narc stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, I really want to do a course. And it's so hard. I really do, like, literally lose sleep over this stuff when I'm trying to create something because I want it to be perfect. I want it to help a million people. So, like, how can I help everybody? But if you try to help everybody, then you're not speaking to that person. This is what the coaches say, right? So it's like, then you don't sell anything. You can't, like, no, people don't get it because it's not speaking close enough to their particular situation. You sell a thing that's like, how to be happy. Most people aren't going to buy that, you know? So I'm trying to figure out the dance, and I don't know, I feel stressed out about it. This is, which color are you? It smells so good, soft raspberry. God, it smells so good. So if you're on replay, tell me. Healthy relationships, God sends you people. I have to believe that, and I do, but then I get sucked up in the people telling what to do. I'm going to put on my deodorant while I'm here so I don't forget. Ain't nobody got time for non-deodorant people walking around. I use the Secret aluminum free. We don't want the breast cancer. Yeah, God will send people. I hope so. God's done a lot of amazing things, so there's no reason he wouldn't, right? But so it is like, what do I think is most beneficial? No, I don't know. It's hard. I think both are really important, you know. Maybe actually, here's an idea, because eventually I'm going to make like a program that's going to be a big program. I mean, it's going to be intense and maybe like a 6-month long program or something. This, I think I would like it to be either a month or like a 6-week program, no longer than 6 weeks. So maybe I make this the dating one, and I could have separate ones eventually, but we'll have all of these as a part of it, and it'll be like healthy relationships. You know, like that bigger program will cover like how to have healthy relationships, because that can make or break your life. I mean, honestly, who you surround yourself with is huge. And getting to a point that you can even trust again, like you said the other day, Marie, right? Like trusting. I think you said that. Was that you? Who was talking about, you know, trusting? You don't feel like you can totally trust people. Yes, it was you. I just remember. I saw it in my mind. I get weird photographic memory. I used to have it when I was young, where I could literally see pages of the book. Like I would like shut my eyes during a test and see like page 54, and I would see like highlighted words. It was so weird. As I got older, I lost it, which is unfortunate. That could have come in very handy when I was in college. So anyway, you too? That's awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna get to work. Tomorrow, I was supposed to do this charity event. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it, and because Cora has this, her first swim meet. It's not a meet, it's like a swim social, where it's like a pizza pool party. Email me. Yes, email me. Email me, Marie. Have a fabulous day, everybody. And comment, really. Say hello. Tell me what you'd prefer in a course if you are interested in this type of thing. Talk with your Italian hands. Eat some pizza tonight. We're going to have pizza tomorrow night. The pizza pool party. Yay. Bye. I like your yellow hand, Marie. All right. Oh, smooches and deuces. There we go. All right, smooches and deuces.